You were not born hating yourself. That feeling, so familiar, it almost feels like home, was planted, watered, and nurtured by external forces. In this world, there's a system that profits from your self doubt. Think about it. When you shrink yourself, question every move, and see only flaws in the mirror, who benefits? Industries thrive on your insecurities. Old wounds passed down like heirlooms trap you. At some point, you start believing that rejecting yourself is just a normal part of life. But what if it isn't? What if self-hatred is not inventable truth that be carefully crafted like illusion? Understanding where the voice in your head comes from is just the beginning. Reclaiming control is the real challenge, because the moment you start questioning it, cracks begin to form. What if you were never meant to fight yourself? What if the real battle is against systems, narratives, and expectations that tell you you are not enough? Liberation isn't about forcing positive thoughts. It's about unlearning seeing the game for what it is, and when you do, you uncover society never wanted you to realize. You were never the problem. No child is born believing they are broken, but before you even understand self-worth, others start defining it for you. Maybe your parents measured love by achievement. Maybe a careless remark from a teacher made you feel small. Maybe approval always seemed just out of reach. When a child is constantly made feel like they are too much or never enough, their mind does what it must to survive. It turns the blame inward. If a world only accepts a certain version of you, maybe the real you isn't worth showing, right? But it doesn't stop there. As you grow, society picks up where childhood left off, refining self-doubt into an art form. Beauty standards whisper that you will never be enough. Hustle culture ties your worth to your productivity. Social media bombards you with perfection. And the worst part, the world doesn't just tell you to be better, it convinces you that you are. Now is just fundamentally wrong. As a philosopher said, if others do not value us, we struggle to value ourselves. Our time, external voices become internal ones, and you stop questioning them. You begin enforcing these impossible standards on yourself. At that point, self-hatred is no longer an experience, it becomes an identity. No one needs to criticize you anymore. You do it automatically. If self-hatred is planted in childhood and shaped by society, social media is the machine that keeps it alive. Every swipe is a new reminder how you should be. Flawless skin, effortless success, a life that feels out of reach. But what you see isn't reality, it's a showcase. You compare others' highlight reels to your unfiltered life. The result, you always feel like you're falling short. Then the dopamine loop kicks in, a like, a comment, a new follower. It seems small, but it taps into something deep. You need to belong. If your worth is tied to engagement, your self-image rises and falls with every notification. Social media doesn't just reflect your insecurities, it profits from them. Your mind is a storyteller, and not every story is true. Self-hatred thrives on distortions and the powerful mental traps. You experience one failure and see it as a proof I always mess everything up. One criticism outweighs the 100 compliments. You assume others will judge you, so you shrink yourself before they even get the chance. This process is so strong that you begin seeking evidence for your negative self-beliefs. There's a big question. Who told you that you were not good enough? A parent who couldn't love you the way you needed? A teacher who projected their own disappointments onto you? A society that profits from making you feel small? And most importantly, were they right? Most of us accept these narratives without question, but when you step back and truly examine them, you realize the voices that instilled self-hatred in you were not telling the truth. They were speaking from their own wounds. And you no longer have to carry the burden. Breaking the cycle of self-hatred begins with self-compassion. It's not a feeling, it's a practice. It's about remembering in moments of self-criticism how you would treat a friend. This isn't weakness, it's strength. Because the real confidence is not built on success, it's built on unconditional self-acceptance. And remember, you were not the problem. The problem was the system that made you think otherwise. Thank you for listening.